What's up, nation? Today we are taking a quick look at some of my favorite entries within Mario and Sonic, as you may stop and look around and realize that in the month of October 2023, 2D Mario and 2D Sonic are going head to head once again, although not in the same way that they used to back in the Sega Genesis versus SNES days, because clearly Sonic Superstars will be launching on Nintendo's platform, but I still find it rather hilarious that just 2 days apart from each other, these games will be on retail shelves being sold, and clearly there's a lot of history when it comes to what makes a 2D Sonic platformer great and what makes a 2D Mario platformer great, and I want to briefly boot up one of my favorite entries from each of these games and briefly talk about the history behind them and why I hope we see Nintendo and Sega alike stick to supporting these games in the future with more iterations to come from here. But if you're new here, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification, and with that, let's hop into some gameplay. So if you're someone who grew up in the 90s like me, you really can't undersell the value of what Super Mario All-Stars was, especially for somebody who's maybe brand new to owning a SNES and you have a classic collection of literally all of the best 2D Mario platforming games, and Mario Bros 3 at that, really revolutionizing the game, because Mario Bros 2 had a weird history around it and you finally got to play the true Super Mario Bros 2 as part of this collection with the lost levels as well. But Mario Bros 3 was really what evolved the formula and took Mario to that next creative level. And while I would say that, to be totally honest, my favorite 2D Mario game on the SNES from that era was, of course, Super Mario World, I still have a ton of nostalgia for this game, and I can remember actually having to leave the system on because I would get so far in World 8, and for whatever reason, it may have been, I think you can save this game on the battery, but for whatever reason, mine was not working with that, and so I would sometimes lose progress. I would just leave my Super Nintendo paused while we had to go out for family events and come back and try to continue the progress afterwards, because once you made it to World 8, at all costs, you did not want to be sent back to the beginning and get a game over or lose any save data or progress. It is legitimately hard to pass this game, and while the earlier stages are definitely more user-friendly, I would say that the later ones pack a serious punch in the difficulty department. Still a lot of fun to boot it up to this day. And this was at a time, originally, of course, when this game came out, it was prior to like Sonic really exploding onto the scene, because Mario Bros 3 came out in 1990, if I'm not mistaken, and Sonic 2, which is what I really think blew up the Hedgehog to the next level, came out in 92, if I'm not mistaken. So you had the kind of back and forth head to head. You always had either some friend that owned the Sega Genesis if you owned the SNES, and vice versa. And so I would always enjoy going and playing between the different games, and I got way more into Sonic later on in life. But initially, Mario was really my bread and butter of what I played, and Mario 3 was a game that I put a ton of my time into as a young child. And then sure enough, you fast forward later on and you realize that to this day, the same kind of formula that we see in these games is also still what we get with modern day 2D Mario. Now, Nintendo really brought it back in a big way with New Super Mario Bros, but I think many can actually appreciate that it was kind of at the end of its rope when it came to new ideas and creativity. And that's why I think so many people are hyped for Wonder upon seeing like the fact that the developers just had all the creative freedom in the world to absolutely go out and do whatever they felt like, which, you know, creates some brand new visual styles that look very exciting, create some brand new power-ups which are crazy, like Elephant Mario, Bubble Mario, and Luigi and friends. And they really kind of went and pulled the gloves off, I feel like, to try to keep the series fresh, but you can't not acknowledge where it came from, and the fact that we still to this day have iterations of 2D Mario, and then what we'll take a look at in a second is one of my favorite. Well, all of this 2D Sonic games, if you talk about 1 through 3 and Knuckles, are just classics in my opinion. It's hard for me to pick one. Just like the Mario games, I would agree. But you know, I will say that I think the fact that these games are still around, playable in some kind of form or fashion in their 2D versions in 2023, really says something about the legs of the series, and really what they did for gaming in general, because people like me and new gamers alike love to play 2D Mario. In fact, new Super Mario Bros. Games historically sell better than the 3D Mario counterparts, if you can believe that. So, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that you have to take into account when you're talking about the sales possibilities and why Nintendo, of course, still wants to do it. I will be very interesting or interested rather, to see what Sega does and accomplished with Mario Superstar, or excuse me, Sonic Superstars, because that's going to be more of the one that I wonder how fans will feel about Sonic coming back. We did have Sonic Mania, of course, and we recently had the Sonic Origins collection, but it is one of the more question mark ones when it comes to a sales perspective on how it will perform. And with that, we'll actually hop right into Sonic Origins to check out one of those games. Now, it did occur to me while booting up Sonic 2 on Sonic Origins that really Nintendo should do something similar in bringing back the classic Mario games. I mean, yes, continue with the new Super Mario Bros, not the new Super Mario Bros series, but rather just the new Super Mario Bros 2D games like Wonder, and maybe Wonder starts a whole new spin-off of games, but also go back and give us that Super Mario All-Stars collection with Super Mario World included in, and give us like the modern widescreen support and enhancements. Keep the sprites the same, keep everything the same, that's not a problem. Make it playable in a modern resolution, easier on the console. Granted, you know, NSO is obviously a thing, and that's definitely coming into play with why Nintendo probably hasn't done that, as they want to have that as a selling point for NSO. But I really do think there's a strong argument to say that you should release these with modern enhancements, modern resolutions, all of that kind of stuff. Especially more of the widescreen support than anything, because it's definitely noticeable whenever you play a game like this and you realize that everything looks normal and crisp when you're playing in 16:9 on widescreen. Whereas on the Mario game, you just have the black bars on the side. And I really wish in NSO they would give us the option to turn those off. But I do think that that would be a good idea. We saw Super Mario Bros. All-Stars ultimately re-released on the Wii, but it didn't have any real enhancements, if I'm not mistaken, because I do own that, and I don't remember ever putting in a ton of time to going back through those games on the Wii again. And now that we have them on NSO, I really don't know that Nintendo will take the time to ever port them again, but I really hope that they do in some kind of classic collection, and maybe even add in like cool cutscenes and things like the Sonic team did with Sonic Origins, because I think this is a great collection. It's now Sonic Origins Plus, which I have not upgraded to just yet. In fact, I'm playing my digital copy, and we died there. I'm playing my digital copy, which I purchased the first time around, but the physical copy is still on my to buy list, and I'm hoping to get a sale on it around the holiday season. Hopefully that goes discounted enough for me just to pick it up, because I am going to double dip on this game. It's how big of a deal it is for me to own all of these classic Sonic games physically, and I shouldn't have jumped there. But you can kind of see like the difference between Sonic and Mario. Sonic is based around speed, and yes, there's different paths you can take throughout the level, but at the same time, we didn't get the save point there, or the little checkpoint, so we will have to make sure we don't mess up this Robotnik fight. But you can kind of see the difference in, other than boss sections, you're really going as fast as possible. You can take your time in Sonic, but most of the fun has to do with like the very quick action, just around seeing, Sonic completely go almost flying off the screen at certain points, whenever you're going as fast as you possibly can. And of course, the big thing with Sonic 2 was the spin dash that was added in. That was not in Sonic 1, and in the Origins collection it actually is, even though you can play it with the original version if you want to keep that intact. But clearly both of these franchises have really done something that you can't even really probably measure in terms of their effect on gaming and gamers in general. And if Nintendo and Sega are both smart and they see the sales returns that I think they will from these 2D iterations with Superstars and with Mario Wonder coming up, I think it's one of those things that there's no reason to discontinue these anytime soon. And I just hope that, we continue to see more and more creative ideas. And while Mario's had that whole, return to form with new Super Mario Bros. Games that, over the years have become a little bit stale, there's still great games and modern looking ways to play an old 2D Mario. And Sega, on the other hand, really hasn't done that, because outside of Sonic Mania, we really haven't seen them actually try to tackle a new 2D Sonic game. I think there was Sonic the Hedgehog 4, which was like an episodic release type of thing, and that didn't go over so well. But since then, we haven't really seen them do a modern graphical style and bring it back to its classical 2D gameplay style form, but with all of the enhancements that you want to see, and 4-player local co-op, which is going to be awesome as well. So my personal stance, of course, saying this is somebody who's a big fan of these classic 2D entries, is that there is still a market for these games, and I just hope that we see these companies stick to it. Absolutely classic soundtrack in stage 2 for Sonic 2, by the way. Like, just I could listen to that on repeat all day. You guys may even notice in my background music a lot, it is classic Sonic 2, Sonic 3 era songs, just because of how great that is. But we'll probably wrap up the video here. I really want to hear from you guys on your hype and excitement around Mario and Sonic being back in 2023 in their 2D counterparts, literally launching 2 days from each other. Are you going to be picking up one or both of them? I will be getting both, and I'm just going to try to rush through Sonic Superstars as fast as humanly possible before I hop into Mario Wonder over the weekend, because I believe that launches on a Friday, and I think Sonic Superstars is on a Wednesday. But it's going to be fun. It's, you know, buckle up for another Sonic versus Mario 2D in 2023, and let me know whether or not you're like me and you want to see Sega and Nintendo do more of this kind of stuff, or if you think these games have maybe passed their, or stayed past their welcome, and that fans aren't out there for them. I definitely don't agree with that, but regardless of your thoughts and feelings on everything we talked about today, I do look forward to hearing from you all in the comments down below before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around these topics. Go watch yesterday's video next if you haven't already, which is on screen right now. Also, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.